Hey Boo, tell everyone what's special about this episode of Doctor Who Review.
This episode of Doctor Who Review has been filmed 3 times.
3 times. This is our third taping of this. 1 was sort of out of our hands, 2 was due to tech taking a massive poo all over our souls. So yeah, we are now back onto my Sony camera, my Sony Canon, which we recorded the first few episodes of this on way back in 2018, and
nice sound.
And we used to record it on this whilst using my laptop, my old laptop, and a USB mic externally to capture the sound.
Don't boggle people.
What we're doing now is we're recording on the Sony Canon with a top MK100 mounted mic.
Is that meaning anything to anybody?
The point is, if this sounds a bit ropey, it's because I'm just doing the best I can with this, because we no longer have the option to... I mean, maybe in the future I could use the old laptop and we could mount it and record, but
we'll get to that when we get to it. We're just happy to finally sit down and talk about it. I mean, we got through, like, an hour.
We were into Blink.
Yeah.
We were into Blink. The third of the 3 episodes we're talking in this video.
And you thought that the camera had run out of space.
It was showing memory. Yeah, so on my camcorder that we normally record these on, I've recorded the bulk of them on. There is a monitor at the side of the camera, so we can see what's on the monitor, which is great because it means that unlike today, I won't have to keep getting up and going around the back of the camera to make sure it's still recording.
Yeah. It was slightly soul-destroying.
Oh, it was horrible. The memory card thing was flashing up. It was like, we've only been going 40 minutes. Why? It's got like an hour and 20 on it. And then we checked it back and I put it into the computer and there was no footage.
Christopher does this thing where he goes, no, don't do this to me. Don't, no. But like as if like somebody were taking the mickey going, no.
Yeah.
But no, he actually does that. And I was thinking, I swear to God, if that is not recorded, I'm going to actually cry.
So we've waited for several. Basically, there's a data corruption in my camcorder, meaning it's no longer recording anything onto a memory card. So it is now relegated to webcam, and it will be nothing more than webcam until it dies a natural death.
Yeah.
Which, based on Sod's Law, I'm assuming will be any day now. So in the meantime, we're on my lovely Sony Canon. I've turned off autofocus because the slightest shadow sets off the autofocus, and it makes a very loud noise next to the top-mounted mic.
So, long story short, we are working with what we've got.
We sound different, but it's the same old show. Welcome to Doctor Who Review. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And every now and again I'll be going over here to make sure that it's still recording.
Need a theme song.
It is. A bit late for that. Bit late for that, isn't it?
Do you know, there was a woman came into my work yesterday and she'd made an incredible Doctor Who quilt.
Okay.
So they were squares with a different character on it. Say there's, there was TARDIS, there was Cyberman, Dalek, K9, and it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It's taken years to make. And I was telling her that me and my husband do a video podcast on watching every single episode of Doctor Who, and I think she thought I meant from Christopher Eccleston.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no.
Wait, did you tell her? You were like, no,
from the beginning. But I didn't specify, like, the from the first Doctor. So she was just kind of like, oh, right, yeah. Like, oh, no, underwhelming response.
What you're saying is...
Retreat.
What you're saying is you weren't wanky enough. Like, you didn't go into specifics enough.
I guess that was not impressive at all, so... I'm ending this here, folks. Good night. No.
But what is impressive is the Series 3 story, Human Nature, the Family of Blood.
Yeah.
Oh, segue! What is the plot of Human Nature, he says, knowing that you can recite this because you've done it twice already?
So the Doctor and Martha appear to be in some kind of trouble. Something is looking for the Doctor and he can't, and it appears that he can't escape it. They're being attacked in the TARDIS. It's all rocky and throwing them around. And the Doctor says this is the only way we can get out of this. And then we cut to 1913, is it? 1912?
Yes, 1913, yeah.
It is 1913. And Martha's a maid. the Doctor is a professor at a boarding school for boys.
Yep, the
if anybody's interested,
Farringham School for Boys.
If anybody's interested, it's the same school building as the one in series 2 of The Crown, where Philip goes to school. R.I.P.
So he hangs around there for a little while and then regenerates into Matt Smith and films The Crown, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and then he becomes the Duke of Edinburgh, and he's anyway. So
they become to know by many names before the end. The oncoming storm, the Valeyard, Philip. So the important thing is. Did you just say that? Is that why I just said that? The important thing is. I have no idea.
Why is that in my head?
They've been there for 2 months, and they're going to be there for 1 more month before John Smith's placement changes, and he travels away with his family sort of inherited maid, Martha, who has joined the staff of the school, which is
But he has no idea that he's the Doctor. For all intents and purposes, he is a human. But he has
completely human.
He's having these dreams where he is a time traveller, an adventure, and he's having adventures in space and time in this strange blue box. And he and his companion is Martha, his mate.
Was his friend? Yeah, who's with him in the dreams sometimes.
And Martha's like, "What? Nah, you're definitely human, mate."
Mate, you're a
proper human, you is.
You ain't an alien, shut up, sir.
So...
Go on.
I don't know where
Well, that's the premise. That is the premise.
Yeah, so
what's the plot of the story?
So, as well as this, he has a... not a stopwatch.
Fobwatch.
Yeah. Which he doesn't pay much attention to, but everybody else knows it's there. He knows it's there, but it's not important to him.
Every now and again, he just sort of picks it up and looks at it.
Yeah.
And looks at it a bit inquisitively, and that's his relationship with this fob watch. That's all he's got going on with this fob watch.
Yeah. So, we find out... do you find us out at the beginning of the episode that...
What?
What's inside the watch?
No, it's a little while in, because life goes on. He forms a friendship and then flirtationship and then a relationship with flirtationship with Nurse Redfern.
Yeah.
Joan Redfern, the matron, played by the wonderful Jessica Hines.
Mm-hmm.
And all the boys are all being taught combat and geography and mathematics and all the usual stuff, and there's snooty older boys who sneak booze into the school and have rich parents, and they're picking on the younger kids, and we're being casually racist towards the darker skinned maid and the staff. And then we see Martha sneak off to a cabin down the street during her break, where she goes to visit the TARDIS.
Yay.
And she goes inside just to make sure it's okay. And it is sort of on rest mode, basically.
It's on low power mode.
Yeah. And she watches back the last thing that the Doctor put together in this transformation scheme, where basically he says, here's the rules, don't let me forget you, I will understand that we have a connection and we need to be near each other, but I won't understand why necessarily, and I might not treat you as a friend, so please make sure I don't forget you. I am contained in this fob watch, because we learn in a flashback that what he did was he used a Gallifreyan device called the Chameleon Arch, which is a complete rewriting of a subject's DNA for whatever reason, and the series in later years will elaborate on perhaps why this was created. Mm-hmm. But we learn that it happened so that he used it, to transform himself into a human so that he cannot be detected, but of course it'll rewrite his memory. It's the perfect camouflage. It's a chameleon device.
Yeah.
He is contained within the watch. They're not allowed to open it until the 3 months is up, unless something drastic happens, and then if she opens the fob watch, the Doctor will return and replace whoever his disguise is.
The Doctor will fall out and go, ugh.
Yeah, why 3 months? Because that's the expected remaining lifespan of our antagonists and title characters of the second episode, the Family of Blood.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what they are, but they's evil. They nasty.
I kind of like that you don't find out what they are.
All we know is that they do horrible things and that they leech life from other things to survive.
Yeah.
And their time is running out and they want a Time Lord. They want the regenerative energy of a Time Lord.
Yeah.
So the Doctor is basically like their prescription. And he's like, nah, brah. So they go into hiding because they will never stop. Apparently they can track the scent of their prey anywhere. In time and space. So whatever these things are, they are powerful. This is possibly like, the Celestials, the Great Vampires. Like this is probably like a before time level threat, like a Arachnos kind of thing. Something that has always existed, but it's a leech. It's like Pennywise. It's this ancient being that needs to feast on other stuff to live.
Ooh, yeah.
And it has a very specific way of doing it. Like it's a possible immortal threat as long as it maintains its diet, essentially. Because we see it used for humans in this story, and there's these little remarks that the humans are dead once they inhabit the bodies, and the bodies won't last that long. They've maybe got like a week or so or whatever to do what they need to do. Maybe even a night, because all the action takes place over one night. But the one thing Martha didn't anticipate was, we'll talk more about the villains in a minute, the Doctor falling in love. Or rather, John Smith falling in love.
Yeah.
Because now he's got connections. Now he's not just the newish teacher who everyone gets on with and he'll be gone in a month. Now he's the newish teacher who has shown the widow, Nurse Redfern, that she can love again and form a connection with this rather odd, very sweet but very mysterious man. First major thing that's great about this story, David Tennant and Jessica Hines.
Yeah.
Holy crap, you buy it. You buy it so hard.
I love it. It really shows off David's acting chops here because he is a completely different person.
Yeah.
Completely. I mean, because eventually the Family of Blood find the Doctor. We'll go into that a little bit further in a minute. And he is freaking out because he's not the Doctor, he's John Smith. And
which again is a lovely nod to his old school common alias as well.
And he's freaking out because he's a man and he's scared of this incoming doom. And I think David Tennant plays it really, really well. They are two very distinct characters, and
really well defined during that very brief bit where he, in the last part of the second episode, where he talks like the Doctor very briefly while he's like holding onto the fob watch or whatever, and he's talking about it before he opens it, and he talks about it, and he just suddenly starts talking like the Doctor, and then goes and he snaps out like, "What the hell?" And it's a brilliant little, oh god, yeah, he's been playing this completely differently for the last two episodes. Oh, that's bizarre.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, but there's sort of flashes of the Doctor in there. Some obviously like plot driven, like where he determines when the piano is going to fall in the local town, and then it's going to hit the baby carriage.
I mean,
and that
lady really should have watched where she was going.
She really should have done. It wasn't like, it's 1913. It's not like she's on a smartphone being an idiot and not paying attention. But
she's enjoying her baby. I mean,
she's just enjoying her baby.
God, how stupid!
But like, there's little moments like that. Obviously, he uses a cricket ball to save the day, and it's like, that's cute.
I had a totally different reaction to that as somebody that's seen it now.
Because you're like, oh yeah, one of him was very good with a cricket ball.
That's a thing. That's a reference to a thing.
But there's also meta references. Like, he has a past, and he can talk about where he came from. But whenever Joan asks him about it, he's talking about the streets and the locations, and he's not really recalling memories or anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was a good touch.
But like, his mother and father are called Verity and Sydney, respectively, which is a nice little sort of, the mummy and daddy of Doctor Who.
Oh,
that's really cool. So Tennant is wonderful in this, and Jessica Hines is great. And Joan is a wonderful character because she's very much of the time. Mm-hmm. There are times where she is, by a modern standard, hell, by the standards of then, but people didn't realise they were being like that, very inappropriate and unnecessarily harsh to Martha in particular. There was a class and a race thing going on.
I like that they didn't make her into birds appear when she sings, and there's bees. No.
She says, she is a sad widow who lost her husband in combat, and she feels like the world has told her and everyone else that widows are then meant to just be widows.
Yeah.
That's their job.
That's it now, yeah.
And she's a nurse. She's a nurse. She hates being called a matron because it makes her feel old. Because, of course, that adds to, as we learn, that kind of adds to the widow thing. She's like, I'm not just an old, useless woman who's got nothing left. Like, why do people think of me that way? She, through the writing and through her performance, earns your respect as a viewer, to the point where when the story ends, you're so glad that the Doctor comes back to save the day, but you mourn for the life that those two would have had. Yeah,
that one moment where, I mean, we stopped and talked about it, where she is in the school and the Doctor comes in, and she turns.
Oh, at the end, they're in the kid's house, the kid's parents' house.
Oh, is it the house? Sorry.
It's the house of the it's the house of the parents of Lucy Cartwright, the little girl, implying that they have either legged it or been murdered. Because there's no one there, and the tea's still out on the table, and it's a little bit warm.
Yeah, that's so
creepy.
It's a nice tea set. Anyway,
but yeah, when he comes in,
she turns to look at him, and she's like taken aback, and she has to look away because he looks the same.
Yeah.
Because but he's
by the Doctor's own existence, he's condemning John Smith to death.
Yeah.
Like, John Smith was born to be executed when the time came.
Yeah.
And that is horrible, because it's sort of the clone argument. It's like, destroy it, it's just a clone. Yeah, but it's alive. And in this case, it's like, yeah, John Smith isn't real, but he has is,
feelings,
though.
And
like,
he's built relationships. And
sure, his past is like stepping into an RPG and just going, oh, pick this part. They were trained here and they did this, and they're trained in the art of this, and now I shall pick up and play. That's what he is. It's sort of like someone jumped in and started the video game from the second half of that character's life, but he's still got a life.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's like in his predestined thingy, he would have left in 3 months' time. Like, Martha probably would have had it arranged. They would have been taken on a carriage, and then as they're going out of there, she would have been like, and pop the fob watch, welcome back, you're safe and sound, I've had a shit 3 months thanks to you.
Went through some proper stuff, Doctor.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. And it does make me wonder the what if of the whole situation. Like, this was a Seventh Doctor novel written by Paul Cornell, who came back to adapt it to this script.
We know it was a book, by the way. You don't.
Yeah, before everybody's writing comments like, actually, did you know? Yeah, we did, and it's sort of like, oh, it would have been really interesting to see the version of this with McCoy and Aldred in these roles. But as it happens, I think it adapts really well to, especially to this series arc for Martha.
Yeah,
it adapts really well to these two. Freema Rajaman is great in this. God, she's so restrained until she isn't anymore. And she's like, oh, I'm fed up of this. And there's just so many of those throwaway lines where she's like, yeah, not today, mate.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah.
Don't freak out.
Go on while I check the camera.
Because, I mean, I have told you this twice before.
It's still working. Yeah, it's still working.
I am Team Martha now.
Has it happened?
It's happened.
Has it bloody happened, mate?
It's happened 3 times now. But no, I appreciate Martha so much more watching it as an adult, because
as an adult,
I don't like the way that sounds. She doesn't half get put through the ringer.
Oh yeah,
and he relies on her so much.
Oh yeah,
Rose and the Doctor built up this big relationship over 2 series, whereas Martha and the Doctor haven't had that. And yet he's putting all of this pressure on her, and she's just having to go with it. It's like, oh, bless your heart.
She's gone with the Doctor to escape the sort of the stresses and put upon
peacemaker,
kind of a peacemaker role. Yeah, that her family is sort of forced her into.
Yeah.
She does it for the sake of them all, but it's clearly a stress.
Yeah.
And that had to be summed up beautifully at the end of Smith and Jones when she goes off to travel with him. It's after they've had a big fight at Leo's birthday.
Yeah.
So she's obviously like, oh, for God's sake, right, we should get away. Oh, brilliant, here's this guy. Go on, let's do it.
Oh, for God's sake, Niles. Sorry.
Fraser Adjaman. And that's, she's been doing that ever since with the Doctor. Here especially. And this is only a precursor to what hell she goes through later. Like, this is a bloody taster for what's coming up. She's great. She's bloody great.
She is.
And yeah, like we've mentioned it before, I think we both kind of had like a thing with... Frank Rajman is a great performer, but I don't think Martha's her best performance. That being said, she's doing a lot with her eyes. She's doing a hell of a lot in the quiet moments. When Martha is finally at the end of a tether, you feel it.
Yeah. She's good at being in control.
Yeah.
And I think she's had to... She has to be good at it. She's had to learn it quickly. Because when she's not in control, things like... burn with me. What was that one called?
42.
42. Things like that happen.
Yeah.
She gets trapped in a bloody escape pod.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the face of this danger, did we get onto the actual family of blood? Have we?
Well, before we touch on them, let's talk about little Tim Latimer, played by Thomas Brodie Sangster,
who is a baby still.
He has an eternal baby face.
He does always.
Like, I'm sure him in the Queen's Gambit, they just stretched him like half a foot and darkened his eyebrows because he looks no different.
I couldn't help but be a bit weirded out by that. Queen's Gambit was amazing, but I was like, oh my God, but he's only 12. What are you doing?
Game of Thrones as well, obviously. He's known to a lot. He's Ferb in Phineas and Ferb. Like, dude gets around. And he's brilliant in this as a kind of low-level psychic kid. As Tim Latimer.
Bit of a knob.
Is he?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he knows that the fob watch is...
Well, he doesn't know that it's important to the narrative.
Of course he does. Of course
But he still nicks it.
He nicks it.
But if you were... Right, here's my hot take. You could tell the story of this two-parter of Human Nature and the Family of Blood completely from the point of view of Latimer.
Yeah, you could. That'd be quite
especially as a young adult novel.
Actually, yeah.
As a young adult novel or a kid's book, it would work so well. Like the kid who hears voices and sometimes thinks that he's hearing things. He's always getting picked on, this, that, and the other, and then one day he can blatantly hear something. He's sent to the teacher's office and he can blatantly hear an item talking to him. So of course he takes it. He wants to learn more. He wants to know why.
I know, but...
And also, without him doing that, the story doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well,
and we don't get that wonderful ending. We don't get that wonderful ending where the fob watch saves his and his schoolmate's life during the First World War. Because that's a big thread in this, that, like, the war is coming.
Yeah.
Like, you are on this country's... And Martha obviously knows that. And so the headmaster is bloody brilliant. And there's sort of this vibe that, like, you know, combat could happen at any time. And we have to be ready for it. And la-la-la. And no one ever really anticipates how things are about to hit the fan. Hey, guess what? Despite the new technology, it turns out this camera only records for 23-minute blocks before going into standby. So every now and again I have to get up and stop recording.
But we've figured out a new system to do it anyway, so this will be the only video where it's like this. So this will probably
be the last time it's a video, so enjoy it while you can. That kind of sucks. I like doing it live, but yeah. Anyway, Family Blood, that was it. So we're talking about the dawn of war, and then we spoke another 15 minutes.
God's sake.
So
this episode is cursed.
Characters who do know that war is coming are the Family of Blood.
Yes,
who it seems maybe like, you know, an Eternals or a Arachnos like level threat that have been around for a long time, and they're leeches and they jump from body to body, survive, and they want the Doctor to keep going. And when they arrive, they possess / scoop out the insides and wear Lucy Cartwright, played by Lauren Wilson.
Creepy little creepy girl.
Creepy little kid. Creeping around. She does a great job. Especially for a kid actor as well. Like, she's eerie as sin. Best bit is the voiceover from her when they're communicating, like, psychically, and they do the glowing green face thing. Because she's playing it like a villain there. She's not playing it like a little kid with a creepy voice.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
She's pretty good. Mr. Clark, played by Jared Horan, who sort of like when he bollocks the Scarecrow. Because they have scarecrows. They've reanimated these sort of scarecrows to basically use as scouts to look around the area. What do they reanimate
them with? Just
there's a bit where Baines explains it to the headmaster, and I can't remember what it is now, but it's that brilliant bit where he just sort of like rips the arm off to show that they're straw men, and the scarecrow just really dopily looks down at his shoulder and his missing arm, and then sort of looks back up like, okay, oh my god, I took my arm off. But they're great, and they were everywhere. They were.
You know what it makes me think of? Sorry, you're doing that. It makes me think of in Pirates of the Caribbean when Pintel and Rigetti, Pintel gets shot. He goes, "You're not dead. He shot me."
yeah. The scarecrows were all over the bloody place that year and the year after in terms of the merch and appearances on shows. Like they were, I think they were banking. I think they were banking on these guys being like the breakout monster. I think the Judoon was the breakout monster of Series 3. Let's be honest. But the scarecrows are cool. Yeah. They're nice and creepy.
I mean, scarecrows have already got that pre-made, creepiness about them.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of leeching off of that, if you will.
Oh. So when Jared Horan's Mr. Clark goes up to one thing and it's a kid playing a prank and bollocks it, Father of Mine takes that body and kind of plays him like that for the rest of the episode. He's clutching his lapels and he's barking and he always looks furious, and it's a great touch. It makes him feel like sort of the muscle of the group.
Yeah.
Even if he never really lays a hand on anyone. It's like, oh yeah, don't get on his bad side. Rebecca Staten, who's a wonderful actor who's in a million bloody things, is Jenny. Touching on what you said about the Doctor and John Smith, it's two completely different performances.
Yeah.
Jenny's this wonderful lifeline that keeps Martha sane during this undercover operation. They share tea and cake and they go to the pub at the weekend and things like that.
And then there's a third character of when she cannot keep a straight face when she's doing the lines, as shown in the outtakes.
Yeah, they are.
Which is very charming.
They are good outtakes, to be fair. She's bloody great.
She is good.
And she's
you described it before when the thing went off.
Was recording. Oh, God. As sort of the look she has when she's Jenny is kind of like a vulture. Like when she's Mother of Mine, is like a vulture. She's circling, waiting for the meal to die, or in this case, waiting for the Doctor to reveal himself. Which the reason why they sort of come to the scent is several reasons. They've been searching throughout time trying to find him. They've obviously narrowed it down to Earth because they've looked around Earth in different time periods. But here, the scent seems to have led them here, what little scent they could get hold of. And it's sort of implied that maybe it's the TARDIS is the scent that eventually gave it away. Like, it's shielded from them, but why else would they know to go to Earth out of all the places in the universe? Unless they're like, well, hang on, the scent of his machine is all over that planet, so let's look. And also then it's exacerbated by Latimer opening the watch a few times. And they're like, he's here! We can bloody smell him, he's definitely here! But Jenny is frightening, and when she's interrogating Martha through pleasant conversation, because obviously she has no idea who Martha is. Because they set that up earlier. It's like, did they see you? Did they see your face? She's like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, right, okay, we just need to hide me, basically.
Yeah.
That's really, really creepy. She plays it fantastically as Mother of Mine, but the MVP of this Moore trucker is Harry Lloyd as Jeremy Baines. It was, is it Viserys Targaryen in Game of Thrones? That's that show that turned 10 this year.
That and nobody gives a shit about.
Nobody talks about Game of Thrones anymore.
That's what happens when you ruin your last series.
That's
you
what happens.
You want to work on Star Wars, but you don't in the end. La la.
D&D, you're a pair of Ds. So yeah, but he is. I think he's probably one of the most. Like, dare I use the sacred word? One of the most iconic villains of the modern run. In that, those people who watch the sort of the 10 years, who recall it, if you told them to list villains, it's likely they would go, oh, the scary dude, the guy's like, the sniffing guy, the one in the past, where the Doctor's a teacher, do you know what I mean? Like,
past man, in suit.
Because he is unapologetically a villain in this.
I mean, he's a douche before.
Oh, he's an absolute douche nozzle as Jeremy Baines. Yeah,
I hate him. In a good way. That he's got that look, hasn't he? Of just that sounds really awful, doesn't it? But his character.
No, just the way he's playing it. It's the way he's holding himself and his expressions and his.
What he gets paid to do. he's just got that air about him. It's like, he's up to something. Definitely.
Up to no good. Making trouble in Latimer's neighbourhood.
I mean, as bare as he grabbed his sister's boob, so it's obviously like, ugh. He didn't do that in this, though.
No. In this, he sniffs a lot and cranes his head and makes me think, this guy would have been a good Joker.
I think the way
or at least a good Riddler.
The way that it's shot. No, I think Killer Croc would have. No, the way it's shot is like helps that massively because when they sniff, I mean, they go from like underneath them, don't they?
Yeah, Dutch angles, lower angles,
with green,
the sort of use of green, and then the massive use of green when they're talking to each other telepathically. They're bloody ray guns that sort of look like a dead lobster.
Yeah, I think maybe that's one thing I wasn't a massive fan of.
But
everything was really creepy, and then it was just that weird plastic-looking thing.
The way it just completely bursts people into particles is pretty frightening.
Burst into particles?
Burst into crabs. No one will get that, just for us. But they're intimidating.
They are.
And the fact that we don't know exactly what they would have done had they got what they wanted is still kind of eerie. Like, what would they have gone on to do? What had they done before? And I don't ever want the show or spin-off media to answer that, because it's better when it's ambiguous.
It's also cool that you don't see what they look like.
Yeah.
Before they take up somebody's body, because they must have some kind of form.
Why can't I see you? Like the bit where Baines is actually just cowering in the ship, wondering what's talking to him.
Because, I mean, they've got to have some kind of physical form to be able to manoeuvre their ship. So it'd be interesting to see what they look like, but I'm glad they didn't show that. Because you don't need to see it.
No. Oh, no.
They're creepy enough as it is.
My one takeaway from the story that I don't like is not the ending, because I love the final scene with the Doctor and Joan, and I love the final scene with Martha and the Doctor showing up at Latimer's. Like, there's a Remembrance Day service, and they're on the outskirts, and he recognises them, and they sort of give him like the nod. I think that's very, very sweet. It's the ending before those that I don't like, which is the whole, now we know why the Doctor ran. He wasn't, scared of us. He was being kind. Because then we saw the wrath of a Time Lord. And you have the whole thing where the Doctor puts them all in different forms of everlasting life that are either a torture or a never-ending inconvenience.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Which is worse.
Would you know what I mean? But it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why would he do that to them? Like, he stranded their ship. Like, all he's got to do is just dump them somewhere, and they are going to be dead within, 2 weeks. They're going to die a natural death.
Because that's the whole point of it, isn't it? Because
or is it that thing of he's like, well, I can't leave them to die? It's like, well, maybe do, because they just kill people and keep killing. Like, they're about to naturally die, and that's what your plan was. You were going to let them naturally die. So they can get hold of you. So dump them somewhere and let them naturally die.
Putting them in, stasis almost gives them the opportunity to get out and
or be let out.
And do something. And they might find someone else who has a long lifetime and come after you and kill you.
Well, what am I going to do with you? Well, I'm going to put you in unbreakable chains and dump you in the service corridors of the Millennium Stadium. Right, okay. What about you? You're going to be in every mirror. All right. Okay. You're going to be a scarecrow. I'm sure no one will ever find you. And and you're going to be... they're a scarecrow. They're a reflection. They're in chains. What about me? Just thrown into an exploding supernova forever.
Yeah, sorry.
What? Ball. It's odd. It's never sat right with me.
It is quite bizarre. I mean, how did he... It does.
How did you rally him up to do that? Is the question.
I mean, how...
It's a very cheap sort of spectacle, and he's playing off of Latimer's thing earlier of he's everything. He's fire and ice and the dawn of time and the end of history, but that's fine. That's part of the mystery of this pocket watch that's bloody talking to him.
Yeah,
I get that, but this, I think this is where the series starts to turn the Doctor into a myth, which Moffat then doubles down on, and I don't like that. I like it when it's a strange little man or an oddball woman just flying around the universe with their mates. Like, I like the idea of there being mythologizing. Like, the oncoming storm doesn't bother me too much, because it's that whole thing of, like, oh my god, you're what finished the Time War. Like, you're legend. And no, I'm not. Leave me alone. I'm just a bloke in a leather jacket with a short haircut trying to look inconspicuous. Piss off, leave me alone. Like, that's the Doctor to me.
Yeah.
Some can be mythologized. Like, the Seventh Doctor was/is/will be Merlin. But we never really learn about that, and that's more interesting to me. I don't mind there being mystery to the character, but the universe knowing who they are kind of takes away some of the fun. But we'll get into that in future stories.
Mm-hmm.
I like Human Nature, Family of Blood a lot. I really, really like it.
Yeah, me too.
There's a reason it's one of the sort of the more celebrated two-parters of the modern era. Is it the strongest two-part of this series? I think it's better than the Dalek one, as just as an experience. I think it's better than the Dalek one.
Yeah.
As for the next two-part, we'll have to wait and see. Onwards now to Blink.
Mm.
On to what is sort of universally, unanimously the best episode of modern Doctor Who, and up there with one of Doctor Who's best stories. I don't know about that, but it's a goddamn brilliant 45 minutes of television.
It is.
And it's definitely one of the strongest single episodes. I think my main issue with everyone always saying that Blink is the one is that so many people then use that as an introductory episode to newcomers.
Yeah.
Not what you should show them, because it's not like any other story in the series.
Mm-hmm.
The only other stories, there's two more stories in the series that are sort of like Blink, and that's Sleep No More and Love and Monsters.
Yeah.
There's not some people might say turn left. Well, no, because turn left relies on you knowing the narrative of the show already to be effective.
And also, it's got the companion in, so
yeah. I mean, the Doctor and Clara are in Sleep No More, and Doctor and Rose show up in Love and Monsters. But
I know what
it's
Sleep
more,
No More is? It's not ringing a bell.
Series 9, Reece Shearsmith. That's the one with Reece in. No, okay. Anyway.
I love little Reece Shearsmith.
And he's great in it. And when we get to that episode, I will probably make my argument that it is unnecessarily hated in a lot of ways. But anyway, the point is, it's actually one of the few ones in Series 9 I liked. Oh, hot take. Right, so, anyway.
But we'll get to that.
But we'll go to the other one. We're into it. Blink. Sally Sparrow likes old sad things. And the most recent old sad thing she's decided to spend her time with is Wester Drumlin's house. She just popped in there. So have a little look around, have a little snoop. And that's when she finds a message written on the wall that says, "Beware the weeping angel, Sally Sparrow, duck."
Duck.
No, seriously, duck. Now. And when she does, a brick hits the wall. She peels off a bit more of the paper, and it says, "From the Doctor."
Love from the Doctor.
Love from the Doctor.
It's cute.
So it's like, you what, mate? Thus begins the mystery of Wester Drumlins and the mysterious angel statues that are throughout the property. First there's one in the garden, then we find that there's several upstairs. And Sally Sparrow beginning to piece together a very odd mystery involving a DVD Easter egg of a man in a brown suit talking to an autocue, a key in the household, a simple Yale key for an object that's not on the grounds anymore. The many, many, many people that have gone missing at Wester Drumlin's house over the years, to the point where there's a lockup of vehicles at the police station. And a note from her friend, Kathy, sent to her from the 80s by Kathy's grandson, moments after Kathy goes upstairs in the house in present day.
That's very cool. I've forgotten about that.
This is... So like Human Nature and Family of Blood, the reason why I've paired these three episodes, these two stories together, and these are the three we're going to talk about, is because there is a loose theme for the two stories, which is they were both written works adapted into televised episodes. Mm-hmm. Human Nature was a novel by Paul Cornell with the Seventh Doctor and Ace. And... I've just remembered there's another connection, actually, in this video. There's during the lockdown Who, there was a prequel and not prequel, 2 extra little audio pieces of work put out around Human Nature, Family of Blood about Sister of Mine being left in the mirror, starring Bernice Summerfield, a Seventh Doctor character from the books.
Yeah.
And then the 13th Doctor lets her out and is like, yeah, sorry about that, I was feeling a bit grumpy. Bye, off you pop.
You did try and kill me, bye-bye.
Yeah, goodbye, bye now, bye. But this one was adapted from the Doctor Who annual 2006 short story. Was it What Happened on My Summer Holidays? Let's have a little gander.
Have a little goosey gander.
Yeah, What I Did on My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow. So here's a little thingy for you. It's a Ninth Doctor story. Part of the story for Blink is based on Moffat's Ninth Doctor short story from Doctor Who Annual 2006 called What I Did on My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow. The short story is presented as a homework essay from Sally, though only 12 years old, who encounters evidence of the Doctor's presence from the past in her aunt's house while visiting. It includes several elements that are reused in Blink, including messages under the wallpaper and an ontological paradox involving a conversation between Sally and the Doctor pre-recorded on a video cassette based on a written transcript. Because at one point she talks to him through like the party videos from the family camcorder from the 80s. And she's sat there in the present day talking to the telly and he's responding to her. Essentially, the TARDIS and him have been separated and he's using her to help him get back to it.
Yeah.
This, of course, reuses it. You know this. If you're watching this, you know the story of Blink. If you don't, even though I've just gone on and said, like, it's not the greatest thing since sliced bread,
it's still
I will say this,
so good.
If you've not watched it and you're watching this, go away and watch Blink. It's on BBC iPlayer. It's probably on Netflix if you're out of the UK. Go watch Blink. If it's your first ever Doctor episode, why are you watching this video? That seems weird. But also, go watch other stuff too. But do go watch Blink. The whole Auto Cue conversation is genius.
It is.
The really 17 clever Easter eggs scattered. So the same Easter egg on 17 DVDs is genius. The brilliant revelation that the thing that the 17 have in common is they're the only 17 DVDs Sally, the main character, owns. Which I think is brilliant because we're massive film buffs. We have like a wall full of DVDs.
Don't even know how many DVDs we've got.
In the hundreds. Like, just we love film. We love film. We love video games. Like, we have a lot of discs in this house.
We like media.
Yeah. So when Larry, played by Finlay Robertson, who's bloody brilliant, or as I like to call him, Proto Rory. When Larry says, like, you only have 17 DVDs, I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like, his point of view is mine on this. Because I would meet friends, like, go around to friends' houses in high school for the first time, and be like, wait, you've only got, like, 20 DVDs in the house. And it wasn't like you can't afford to have more DVDs. It was just no, that's weird. Like, there's just, like, it's almost like there's just a small collection of them in the living room.
Yeah, I mean, now that would make sense because you've got streaming things, but back in day,
and it wasn't like oh, you can't afford DVD. It was more like no, seriously, like it's the mid 2000s. Where are all your films? What's going on? And that's when you find out that, like, it's a house that loves soaps and a house that just catches the film on TV. They're not fussed about owning films.
In my head, I was like, a family that just loves soap.
Think about it.
What the hell?
But think about it. Think about the house I grew up in with my mum and stepdad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the DVDs that left the house with me were my collection.
Yeah.
That I had amassed in my bedroom that covered a whole, like, section of the wall on the shelves.
Yeah.
How many DVDs were in the house except for mine?
Like a handful.
Yeah. Like downstairs next to the DVD player, there's just like 20 discs.
Dirty Dancing,
Sex and the City box set, like just a little handful of films.
Yeah.
So I get it, and I think that's brilliant, and I love the fact that D.I. Billy Shipton, played by Michael Obwara and Louis Mahoney, respectively, as young and old Billy. I love the fact that he's the cop that flirts with her, and it's also... There's several interactions in this where people are basically just like, oh, hello. And it could be like, really? Is this all... Like, what? This is a very horny episode in places. But thanks to the charm of character actors, the character actors like Michael, like Carey Mulligan and Sally Sparrow and that, it feels really sweet in this episode. I think it's a lot of it is down to the actors. A lot of that is down to the actors to stop that feeling a bit creepy. Also, Hetty McDonald's direction. She does an amazing job with this one. Considering, obviously, when they're producing this, they probably weren't thinking of this one as, oh, this will be the standout this year. Like, that wouldn't have been going through anyone's heads. It was, oh, this is the cheap one this year.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, this is the cheap episode, like, this should be a laugh, let's give it a go. But through Kerry Mulligan as Sally Sparrow, Lucy Gaskell as Kathy Nightingale, Finlay Robinson as Larry, they do such an amazing job.
They do.
Those two in particular, and, you know, all the other actors pop in, Richard Camp as Kathy's grandson, Malcolm, and... or is it Thomas Nelstrop, actually? One of them. Anyway, point is, there's a couple of Wainwrights.
They're all excellent.
A couple of Wainwrights, a couple of Nightingales. And cheeky cameo from Ian Boldsworth as Banto, owner of Banto's DVDs. Like, they are great. Like, everyone in this is great, with a massive special shout-out to Aga Blonska and Ellen Thomas, who are the uncredited... and I wonder if this was, like, for the sake of mystique, the uncredited performers of the Weeping Angels.
Why were they not credited?
Probably a mystique thing. I mean, obviously they'd still be paid for it and everything. And I'm sure, I can't remember who, but I met one of the Weeping Angel performers at a shoot for CBBC Extra one time, because their main job was just, like, production.
Yeah.
But they were also, like, a ballet dancer.
Wow.
So they'd done a Weeping Angel. I was like, wait, sorry, what? You're a freaking Weeping Angel? Like, yeah. Like, oh my god! Now, I don't know if it was for this story or if it was for Series 5's Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone.
Mm.
But imagine having that clout to turn around to, like, your kids or, like, your nephews and nieces and go, yeah, that scary thing that keeps you awake at night.
That's
me. Like, what a creepy thing to do. And we've seen performers play them in live action as well. Like, do you remember Doctor Who Live?
Yeah.
There was a Weeping Angel section where performers were playing them.
Yeah, not like dancing around and stuff like that. It was with strobe lighting.
But that's why it's more impressive, because it's all about selective movement.
Yeah, exactly.
That you cannot be caught moving. And this, I mean, we were 16 when this episode came out. Do you remember how much people were talking about this when it came out?
Yeah.
And they were specifically talking about the Weeping Angels.
How creepy they were, yeah.
Oh my god, just...
I mean, how people didn't find statues creepy in the first place anyway is beyond me. True. Statues are terrifying.
I was doing behind-the-scenes filming at Royal Flock, where Doctor Who, as of this recording, that's the main studio that it's made at, and has been for about 10 years as of this year. There was a Weeping Angel just hanging out by the toilets.
Oh, Boo! You just dropped your snooty intel. You just dropped it.
Not going to bother telling my story now.
No, I'm joking. Go on. No, I'm sorry.
It's not important.
No,
it's not important.
It is important. God,
really not important. So,
no, please tell us.
The fact that it is a mix of props and performers is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you cannot tell when one is the other.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's a couple moments where, for practicality, you can figure it out. My favourite shot, I only realised happens, like, the last time I watched this, and I pointed it out as we watched it this time. I was like, just watch that angel at the back of the corridor.
Yeah. That's
when Sally's upstairs, before she gets the key. The one at the very back changes its position twice in the shot, and it's masked so beautifully. It's so subtle and creepy. No wonder these things kicked off. No wonder people loved them. Should they have stayed in this episode? I think so. I like them in the next story. They're brilliant in the next story. You don't remember the next story at all, do you?
Yeah, the one with Amy.
So you do then. But, like,
yeah.
So do you remember that? Do you think that one was worth doing? I think that adds to the mythology of them in a way that doesn't take away from this episode. Although there's one bit in that two-parter where I'm like, oh, I didn't need to see that. Which we'll get to. But yeah.
I think they are too good of an idea to keep in one episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, again, like, I like them in that two-parter a lot. This is Alien. That's Aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, there are Space Marines and multiple Weeping Angels in confined areas and spaceship corridors. So, like, there's a lot of aliens in there, and they add to the mythology, and we'll get to that when we get to it, but like they add sort of a couple more power things that make you go, oh. But the core idea here of this thing that could be everywhere, that wins by basically touching you and sending you back in time. It doesn't kill you.
It's the
as the doctor says to Billy when he arrives in the 60s, they kill you nicely.
Yeah.
They send you back in time and let you live. And they feed off of the energy of the life you should have had.
I was just going to ask that. What do they gain from it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how he words it obviously better in the episode. I don't have to put it down here, but it's...
Wibbly wobbly timey-wimey.
Yeah,
that's where that comes from.
Wibbly wobbly timey-wimey. Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad. Please tell us your...
it comes from here, doesn't it? This is the first episode when Wibbly wobbly timey-wimey happens. They, let me see what he says. Their usual mode of feeding is to make use of a time paradox. With a single touch, a weeping angel can send a person into the past to a point before his or her own birth, and then feed off the potential energy of the years that the victim would have lived.
Yeah.
The Doctor described the weeping angels as the only psychopaths in the universe to kill you nicely, because their victims are otherwise uninjured and may live out long, potentially fulfilling lives in the past. I can't remember what he calls them something else at one point that sums up how they... No, little bitches. But he calls them something else. Like the idea is that they're the sort of beings that live off of potential. Like they're I can't remember what it is now. Like essentially, they don't feed in the normal way. Their entire existence revolves around possibilities.
That's crazy.
And because they're so old, they've developed... Stephen Moffat. Because they're so old, they've developed this incredible defence mechanism. If they are observed, they turn to stone.
Stephen Moffat, what were you smoking?
What wasn't he smoking? If they are observed, they turn to stone. So you can't do anything to them. But if you look away, it can move.
So what if you, smashed its arm? Could you smash its arm? Is
possibly,
it made of stone?
Well, we see, again, later stories, we see that there can be damage or erosion done to them.
Yeah. Because wouldn't you just get, a wrecking ball and just,
Potentially, but who would have the knowledge to know that that thing is a monster that's going to hurt you, except for people who know about the Weeping Angels, which is a very small amount of people. So...
What planet do they come from?
Don't know. They might not have a planet. They might exist everywhere. It's implied they exist everywhere. The next time we see them, they're on a starship that's crashed into a colony millions of years away.
Yeah, that's true.
There are some living in New York in the 30s. We don't exactly know, and that's kind of what adds to the terror. But again, part of me is I wish they were one episode. Because they become the Zygons of the new series. They appeared once. And everyone's like, oh, do you remember that one with blah, blah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Blink is a fantastic piece of TV.
I'm wondering what happened to the Doctor and Martha, their situation.
Yeah, because we never find out. We just know that at some point, the TARDIS lands at Wester Drumlands, and they get taken.
Yeah.
But when they get taken, the Doctor has on his person somewhere the files or the folder or whatever that Sally Sparrow gives him at the end of the episode. And I love that it's such a neat little bow. How does he get hold of it? I don't understand. Does he get the transcript of our conversation? Because just one day they're running outside the shop and she's like, and she goes out and is like, wait, hang on.
It's very cute. The Doctor's just a bit busy at the moment.
And he's always like, what a thing. Well, three things. Well, three things and a lizard. And you're just what is happening? What are they dealing with? This is the only episode of this series where I feel like this is the only episode that doesn't fit into Martha's arc.
Yeah.
Because it could be any companion. And she's almost written, I don't know, compared to how she's in the rest of the series, she's almost written a bit ungrateful.
Do you think so?
She seems really pissed off about what's happening. And then even in the present day, she's like, come on, what are you doing? Come on, we've got to go. In a way that's very sort of, wait a minute, hang on. Martha takes a deep breath and takes things as they come. Why is she being like this?
One thing we didn't talk about was how creepy the scene is when they do eventually get the TARDIS back to the Doctor.
Yeah.
They use the key that the angels holding.
Yeah.
And
Well, we get in the TARDIS and there's a projection. He's like, "You've got a thing. Put it in the thing," and you realise that all the Easter egg, all the DVDs with the Easter egg on, have something in the printing.
Yeah.
That works with the TARDIS because
just put the disc in. Yeah.
He set Billy Shipton in the past in his new life on the path to becoming a producer and publisher for books, then videos, then DVDs. It's like that. Brilliant.
It's genius. But
which is what this little fella's about. He's the projected thingy. And I got that at the Doctor Who celebration because you got it for me.
Yeah.
You're a lovely lady.
Oh, it was a really nice moment because he was sad that he didn't get one.
Yeah.
And then I bought something, and because there must have been loads left, they just put loads of stuff in your bag, like a goodie bag. If you spent this amount of money, you'd get a goodie bag. And I did because I bought 2 mugs that cost a friggin' fortune.
And one's gone now.
And one I smashed by accident. Sorry.
Sorry, Matt Smith mug.
Sorry, Matt Smith. And we were on the train, and I just pulled it out.
You're like, I got you a little...
Oh my god!
I got you a little seafood David. A little seafood David boat was based on this episode.
But when they, put the disc in and the TARDIS starts
dematerialising.
I think I said degenerate. I knew that it could materialise around people, but I did not think that it would do the reverse and dematerialise, leaving them there. But the angels were outside the TARDIS and they were rocking the TARDIS and attacking it.
This was by this point we realised that there are 4 at Western Drumlins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously they're terrified. There's nothing they could do with 4 of them.
Yeah.
You can't keep your eye on all 4 of them at the same time. And they realise that they're not being attacked, and it's because they're all looking at each other. Yeah,
they're all in each other's peripheral vision at the very least, because they're each facing one side of the TARDIS.
And I think that's such an amazing thing that they're all the same species, but they're cursed with, even if they look at each other.
Yeah. That's why their standard position is the hands over their eyes, because
then they can't look at each other.
Other people may look at them, but they won't make the mistake of looking at each other. And that's why they're the lonely assassins, because they can never be around each other, like, really, or around anyone else, because they'll never be able to talk or...
Seems like a strange and kind of sad existence.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is it's like they've developed the perfect defense mechanism, and unfortunately, it makes them the loneliest mother truckers in the universe. But to be fair, their intentions are usually rather sinister. Yeah. So,
but please tell us your Weeping Angel story. I'm so sorry. It was just for a little joke.
Well, there was one outside the toilets. That's the story.
Did you freak out a little bit? What was it made of?
I don't know what they were made of, but it was one of the model ones. It was one with a scary face. I posted a selfie with it on my Instagram years ago. But yeah, it's just there. And it was the fact that I was the only person going, is that not freaking anyone else out? That's outside the toilet. Just waiting outside the toilets in the studio block.
Imagine if the person that you were with went, oh, I haven't seen it there before.
If you want me to drop my thingy card, I'll tell you who I was with, but I won't. Anyway, the point is that Blink is great.
He was with the doctor! No joke.
I was! One of the 2 people that I was chatting with while waiting around was the doctor.
Which one?
Peter Davison. This was back in 2013. They were filming a bunch of stuff for like BBC America channels at this point. I was doing behind the scenes on Wizards vs. Aliens. And I bumped into, while hanging around, while our crew were in the Wizards studio getting their footage, Nick Briggs, who was there. And I was like, oh, hello. And we'd met before and stuff. So I went over and said hello. And we had a little chat. And he was like, how are you doing? I was like, oh, not bad. There's something else. We brought your puppet dog. Oh, no. And they said, we're just here recording some Talking Head stuff on the sets for BBC America documentaries for the 50th. And I was like, right, okay. And then Peter Davison just walks over. And he's just like, oh, Peter, have you met Chris?
Oh, my God.
I'm like, what? So we have a little chat about what they're doing today and what we're doing today.
Did you say to him, you're the worst one?
No!
You look great in leather, but you're the worst one.
No! Why would I tell him what your opinion is from the future? That doesn't make any sense. No, but
7 years in the future, my wife's going to really hate your companion.
No, but I did turn to Nick while Peter wasn't looking and said, "Nick, can I kiss Peter Davison?"
Yes.
Yes. That's my Weeping Angel story. I hope it makes sense. Thanks, camera. So what we've learned from this is if we record on this camera, it's safe to record in 15-minute blocks, stop recording and start recording again.
We can't get too excited and just go off on tangents. And Luna can...
Our cat can't half meow. Next time you see us, we may not be in vision anymore because this tech stuff is bullshit. Or maybe we will be, and every 15 minutes I'll have to get up and press the record button and then press it again.
So if you miss seeing our feet and the dog and a random hand, soz.
Soz, mate. What do you think of Human Nature, Family Blood, and Blink? Let me know down in the comments below. I won't judge you, but I will weep.
Have a good time.
Have a gay old time, like the Flintstones.
Whatever you do, safely, because it's still a pandemic.
Well, is it? I mean, we're recording this in April, so...
If it's still a pandemic in the future, let's hope it's not. Be careful, wash your hands, put a mask on. We love you.
Alright, Seth Meyers.
Oh, that's still that. Yeah.
Bye!